Hi guys, I'm Rita, and in today's episode, I'm a freelancer who is writing articles for well-known fashion and travel companies, as well as providing translation services to private persons and businesses. So, the beginning of this year have been crazy, as I've been working on multiple projects at the same time, and I actually never had a structure in place to record my time, record expenses, and issue invoices to customers from one place. So, to manage my projects, I have decided to start using an online software called Harpoon, because it is a forward-looking, time-tracking and invoicing software that not only records financial past, but will help me to plan and forecast my profitable future. So let's get registered on Harpoon. Okay, let's register on Harpoon planning and forecasting and time tracking and invoicing software. So let's go there. Okay, type in your browser harpoonapp.com. There is more details available for you to go through and check, but we will log in and we will create an account. Let's select a currency symbol. In my case, I will have a pound, but they've got about 20, I think so, or even more currencies, which are applicable, which is very good. So you can use this software in any country, mainly in all countries in the world, because you can align with your currencies. So let's go for pounds and select your number format. So yes, the first one suits me. Continue. Okay, that is my goal for revenue. It's not a profit, but it's pure revenue. So let's say my revenue for this year is £10,000, but you can always go and amend your target for a year afterwards. So 10,000 is reasonable for me. Okay, go to my dashboard. When you will start with your Harpoon account, there is quick tour about 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes long tutorial. You can have a look what kind of options is there. For me, I will just jump straight away. So this is how it look like interface of your Harpoon or of my Harpoon software. There is a sidebar with options. There is big green button with plus sign to quickly select what I want to do. But as always, settings is my priority. So there is loads of categories to look at, and there is 2 sections, settings and account. So account is details about you. So basics, this is where team can be managed. The same subscriptions can be managed. And any tokens, not know a lot about that side. So about settings, look on general, this is where you can amend your goal target. So my work habits, 20 days reasonable, 5 working days, and working hours is 8. Currency pounds, format. Okay, my date format starts with date followed with month, year, so this is where we can update, and my time zone is actually London. Okay, so I'm happy with that one. So lead sources will keep as it is. So once updated or added information, please save changes. So that was general. Invoices and payments. Contact information is there. We can add an address. design. We can upload a logo if we have. That's great. Okay, terms and shipping if needed. So if you have defaulted shipping price, you can already add it there. Notes, fine with that one. Tax, if you are tax registered, add all tax details here. Default language, there is 4, 6, 10 languages what you can default to. It's great. We can connect to Stripe, so if you're using Stripe, you can connect here as well. Okay, so if there is automatically send late payment reminders, we can enable that function. I'm happy with it. We can add new line items. These are the line items which will show up on an invoice. So like days, deposits, fees, if we're billing by hours, there is already defaulted, but you can add any other new categories if required to more modify in line with your needs. Once we're happy, click Save Change. Okay, next one is time tracking. So default hourly rate, so that is a hourly rate, my personal hourly rate. Let's say I would put that my hourly rate is 50. So we would put hours as a decimal or as a hours and minutes. I will say as a decimal, fine. And history range last 7 days. Okay, save change. Next one is task categories. So I've got writing, which is good, but I'm also providing translating services. So I will add a new task category called okay, and different hourly rate can be added for translation services. Let's say I will put 20, 20, click save. Okay, happy with that one, and you can see different rates are there. So translation is showing at 20, writing, click on edit if there's different rate, let's say 15, and click save. So admin is 50 pounds per hour, design is 50 pounds per hour, so you can amend if required and add the correct rate. Next category under settings is expenses and mileage. So we can connect to our bank account, as that will enable automatic bank feeds, so we can record all expenses as we incur. So if you pay for travel, for let's say for hotel or flight or train tickets or fuel even, you'll be able to allocate those expenses to particular project. So not sure how this would work with your personal bank account, unless there is separate project created called personal maybe. So we can add a new expense category, but there is already defaulted or system provided categories, and there are quite a lot of provided, so I don't think so if there would be a need to add new category. But if you need add new category, you can come to settings and under expenses and mileage. That's where we can add a new category. Next one is mileage preferences. So we can select units like miles or kilometers. Rate, I think so it was 13.5. Okay, we'll round it. 13 pence per mile. Mileage preferences, that's government advice there. But that is for vehicle, which is I think so 1600 cc. I think so it was. So once you got bigger car, your rate might be different here, so you can add information there. Also we can add multiple vehicles if needed. So there is one vehicle which was my vehicle called, but we can add a new vehicle if needed. And then mileage business purposes. So there is purposes, there is 6 of them, but if there is couple like new purposes what you need to record mileage for, you can come in this section and add those here. Okay, next one about emails and notifications. So here we can customize our email templates. So for example, when we're sending invoice out from system, that's how it will look like. So in this, I don't know how it's called in English, but it's not squared brackets, but in those brackets it's taking information already from software available. So if invoice coming from my company name, in my case it will be Rita K, it will default here. And contact first name, for example, it will be taking from clients or customers cards, these details. So, and there is this email tags, so you can modify and align with your needs. It's the same about when sending estimates, payments of thank you, how email will look like. So if you want to amend or add more additional information, this is where you would come to amend this information. Okay, and then you can ask system to send you following email notifications. If you don't want to receive notifications about weekly summaries, just untick and those notifications then don't bother or fill up your email, personal email, especially if you're working every day on this software, so you would know your weekly summary reports. It's the same about expense budget alerts and etc. When you deselect any of those options, remember to save notification changes, otherwise system will keep sending almost all things what you're doing on your software. Okay, next category is taxes. This is where we can specify different rates of taxes. For example, if in UK we've got VAT, in different countries there is GST, HST, IST, I think so. Call how you want it to call this tax name. For example, if I have VAT 20%, I would call it VAT 20 and I would amend rate to 20. I can another tax rate, I can add another tax rate like VAT 15%, so I have 50% to apply if needed, and VAT 10, and there is also VAT 0 rated. So if you're VAT registered, then you will need to provide VAT or submit VAT reports, then you will be able to issue invoices with particular rate, and as well you will be able to record expenses under one of those rates as well. So once you configure your taxes, save changes. Okay, so next category is integration. So this is a place where you can integrate with other apps available, like Stripe or Slack and etc. There is quite a long list what you can choose from. Yeah, so these are the settings of Harpoon. Quite simple, straightforward. Okay. Yes, just received my parcel and that's my new client. So excited. Thank you for taking this project on. Regards, Joe. So, how I can add a new client on Harpoon? Let's do it. So as I said, I received a parcel from a client who want me to translate their book from Spanish to English. So that would be a big project and it's worth a lot of money. So how I can add client on my Harpoon software? On left hand sidebar, there is an icon called clients. So let's click on clients. This is where we can add all our new clients. So either you can click on new clients green button on right hand corner, or we can create new client. And let's pre-fill details as you would normally fill in if you have a new client, taking their company details, address details, who is the contact detail, and etc. lead source. Okay, that's how we found this client called networking. Status, it can be lead, active or inactive. In my case, it's active. And you can select different language if you want. I will choose an English. Something is wrong there. Okay, we can allow client to view account summary statement, so they will be able to see any overdue or any paid invoices. So you can find more details, click on letter I. Contact details, I have Joe L. Wrong email address. We can add another contact if required, like someone from finance department, so we can click on add another contract if required. Okay, and we can add custom task rates. So for example, for this particular client, if translation costed more, we can add different rate and amend. For example, if one client had £20, but bigger scale client maybe agreed rate with £18, or maybe even expensive at 25 or 30 pounds if its quality is needed. Yeah, so this is where we can custom task rates for this particular client. Once we are happy, let's click save. So we have added our major client, or I have added my major client now on client list. So when we click here, my client is there. There is details about this client. So when we need to create new client, just click on create new client here, and the same approach as for my bookstore previously, add details in, even if it's like a private person instead of business. So I will add a couple more clients, so I have multiple projects going on. So let's create. So now I have 3 active clients, and let's have a look at next section. So now we have added multiple clients, and we are able to allocate projects to every client. So there is multiple places where we can add a new project. There is, when you are on clients part, when you go to settings section, for example, this project is for bookstore. When you click on that settings, there is create a project. Also, when you are into client, you can create project from here, from right hand side. Also, you can create a new project by clicking on green big button at the top on left hand side, like sidebar. When you click there, you can create a new project there. Or fourth place, we can go to our sidebar and click on project section. So your choice where you wanna from where you want to record your project. So let's click on a project first. So we can create project either here, because this is the very first project what we'll create, or we can click on the green button called create new project on right hand side. Let's create new project. So project name I will call Okay, so my project name is Book Translation from Spanish to English. So project type, we can select if it's hourly, fixed fee or non-billable. In my case, I have agreed with client to have an on fixed fee, and I will select my client. So bookstore is my client, and then status. There's multiple selections. For example, in some stages of a project, it might need to be put on hold or cancelled. If it's finished, you can archive it. Or before you start, maybe there is just a proposal, so you can also add a project on proposal stage. So now I will have an active. We can put a schedule. So for example, it will have a 3-month schedule to complete this project, so to translate this book. Fixed fee budget, amount of budgeted. When you click on this I letter, it says that how much I plan to bill for this fixed fee project, and that is the rate. I have agreed 6,000 with a client to be invoicing them for this job. Okay, team members, we will come back in a minute. And custom task rates. So for example, translation, I have agreed that I will translate for £18. So it's weird that 0 is annoying. For £18. And any other admin services would be about £25 per hour. Okay, so once we're happy, click save. And when we go back to projects, here is our project. Okay, so it's showing 1 active. I will add a couple more projects to individuals or private persons. So here are all my projects. So on each project, there is multiple things what we can do. So when you go to particular project on settings section, which is gray arrow on right hand side, and when we click there, we can see details of this project, edit. We can also duplicate if that is like repeating project. So if project happens once a month and the next month there is similar work to do, you can duplicate it. We can create a timer, invoice, estimates, record expenses for this particular project, and look at reports. And at the end of the day, we also have an option to delete it. So there's a couple of choices to do so. Hasta luego, dijo. Sí, hasta luego. La respuesta de Katrina brotó con un hilo de voz. What that means? De voz. With a thread of voice. Oh my god, I can't keep using Google Translate. This will not get me anywhere. It's taking so much time of my daily tasks. I need to get someone. I need to find someone who knows Spanish very well and can help me with this project. So how we can add to Harpoon someone else, either your staff member or outsourced resource to work on your projects. Let's have a look at next section of adding members to your projects. So I just came off the call with Sarah, and she has agreed to take the job on for a rate of £12.50 per hour. I advised that I will share an access to a project so she can record real time on tasks what she's performing. And she said that she is very happy about this new project and working alongside me on translating a book from Spanish to English. So how I can add a new staff member or member to a particular project. So how I can add a team member, when you go on dashboard, you can click on invite your team, or from settings function, oh there is settings at the top, do not need to go to bottom, we have settings also here. So when we go to settings and on accounts, there is a team, and we can click on this plus sign and invite a new team member. So we've got a Sarah. That was right what we agreed. And capacity, she said that she can do about 6 hours per day, per working day, so it would be 30 hours capacity. 30 hours capacity. We can include an optional message. Okay, and when we go below, we have a couple of roles what we can assign. We can give an admin, manager, or staff access. If we give staff access, they only can track their time and like tasks to the project they are assigned to. If we will give a manager permission, they have a permission to view, edit, and manage only projects they are assigned. So whereas staff will be able only record their time, manager will have more options to work on this particular project. So you can select a role for this particular person. In my case, I will say that it will be just tracking time for this project. Okay, and assign to project, and project what I want to assign Sarah is book translation only. And if there is multiple projects you want to assign, select the ones which are appropriate and send invite. Okay, so you can see that I'm the owner and I have 3 projects, and Sarah got 1 project and currently is pending her acceptance. Start, finish. One of the amazing features what Harpoon provides is real-time tracking of your time for a particular task. So no more manual entering your time on your time notepad. Those days are gone. So let's have a look at next section in Harpoon called timer. So this would be a notification what your staff member or member who you invited to join a project will look like. So once a person have received that invite, there is a message. That person will need to join the team and add their password and create an account. And here it is. Sarah is only able to record time because that are the or role what was given to her. So for example, she can add a description of particular task what she is doing. She can select project. If she has a multiple project, she will be able to select to which project she want to record the time. For example, book translation. and task, translation, and click on green button called, it is start. So once task is completed, that person will come and click on red button and click on log time. Okay, time is logged, and we'll add another translate pages 6 to 10. Allocate project, translation, and start. So that person is able also to watch or look at history. So when looking on history, there is pages 1 to 5, hours, is a fixed status or it's paid by hours, it will show up. When you click on settings, we can edit, duplicate, we can new clone timer or delete this particular task. So going back to timer, and there is timer running. If person works on multiple timers, they can create multiple timers. For example, research, project, can put research as well, and maybe so that person can work on multiple tasks at the same time. If they're free all combined, that's how it will record, and of course every single will need to be stopped and time logged, otherwise it will be not logged. Also, persons are able to add hours manually, date, select task, for example admin, hours, 2 hours, project, select project and description. Okay, click save. So when we go to history, there is admin manual added hours here. The same way, it can be edited, duplicated, cloned or deleted. And when we go to timers, we can see the ones which are active and live. So Sarah have said to me that she have recorded already hours and she's been working today on translation of pages as per our agreement. So when I go to settings and click on team, I can see that I have pending status change to staff, and Sarah been working on her project, and there is 30 hours capacity, and it shows how much she have already worked towards it. So let's go to our time section on left hand side on sidebar, and because Sarah says that she have already recorded some time, I can go to history and see that she have actually recorded a couple of hours, little more than a couple of hours, 10.75 hours being already recorded by her. And I can see for which client and what project she's been working. For example, I can add my own timers. For example, I will put create a new timer. I will add hours manually in this case. So I've been working on writing. I worked on 2 hours, and I worked on writing blog post. Okay, and it's unbilled, and okay, I will click save, and I will add another hour manually. For example, admin, I will say 1 hour, and I worked on project of book translation, and I will say that I have okay, click save. In the same way as Sarah recorded we can record new timer, saying that it's, for example, research, and I can select on which project I've done research, for example, translate document and pages, and research, and I can put timer on so it will start to work. Also, I can add hours manually for that particular project. I can select different date, and for example, writing 1.5 hours, translation for last project, so translate documents and say one and two, save. Okay, so now when I go to history, there are my time mixed with Sarah. We can always at the bottom at the top, I do apologize, at the top we can filter out, for example, for client, I want to see only for John tasks completed, so click John and apply. Now it only filters whoever worked on John's project or John as a client, all will be showing in the below section, below the table. For example, I don't want to look at John, I want to look on particular project. For example, I used book translation, apply. So you can see everyone who's been working. For example, I've been working and Sarah been working on this particular project, and we have spent 11.75 hours. So this is how we can look at timers, and team can use very easily to report or record tasks what they're working on, and actually you are able to track how much time being actually spent on particular project, and if that project actually have given any yields or margins like profit, generated any profit at the end of project term. So it's quite nice and easy to track, especially if you're a freelancer or working on particular project. You can record every minute and see actually how much is worth your time. Very useful tool to use and look at. And of course, if we're looking at settings section, so if we have decided that this project is not fixed, for example, I had writing blog post, apply. It's based on hours, so it's showing on build. So when we click on settings, we have an option to edit, duplicate, clone timer, or delete. So for every single one is every single task what we're doing, we have the same options to do it. So this covers section time or timer, and how we can utilize to record every single task and look at your efficiency and time effectiveness of working on particular project. So I just arrived from my meeting up with my client for who I'm working on translating a book, and I have accumulated, or I have collected, a couple of receipts on my way. Like I have train tickets, I have restaurant bill. So how I can record those on Harpoon software? Let's have a look on section called expenses. So how I can record my expenses for a particular project. So as I said, I have receipts from meeting with Bookstore Limited about progress of a project, and I have receipts of my train as well as meal receipt. So how I can do it? So firstly, you need to make sure that your receipts are on your desktop, because your Harpoon software haven't got a mobile app, so you'll be not able to attach it in a mobile app unless you use a browser on mobile app, and we'll try to attach from there. But otherwise you need to take a picture and send possible via email to yourself, so you can download it and attach to on your Harpoon's software. So how we can record expense? There is on left hand side on sidebar, there is a section called expenses, and it has a couple of options to choose from. For example, if you need to record mileage, you can record mileage. So how many kilometers been driven. In my case, I took a train, so I have no mileage to record. There is a budget for particular maybe project or timeline. You can review and revise it. Maybe there is recurring expenses, for example, particular software charges which occurs on monthly basis across a project timeline. For example, if project is 1 year project, so there will be 12 months of subscription fees for something, you can put a recurring expense. And then there is expenses. So let's look on expense, and we can do a couple things. So we can connect the bank. In that case, bank feed will automatically pull through all business from your business account, all expenses, what you paid already. Only thing you will need to do is just check, confirm, and attach receipts, so to keep in digital as a part of digital record keeping. We can import files if bank statements. That is another option to utilize and use on Harpoon software, or manually entering by create new expense. Let's click create new expense. I will say on today's date, category, I had travel expenses, vendor name, okay, amount, train, from to, and I can allocate to a particular project. In my case, it was for book translation meeting, status and build, but I can choose that if it's build or it's part of a. What I mean by this, if these expenses are claimable or chargeable to your client, you can select as unbilled, and then you can attach it to invoice when you will issue to client to charge for these expenses. If you don't want to charge it, you can select as it been billed already as part of maybe package fee. For example, I had a £6,000 agreement, so there was nothing mentioned that I'm liable or I can charge or recharge customer for going to these meetings. So I would say that I have already billed as part of my package price. So but you can select if it's unbilled and you want to bill it later, you'll be able to add that line. So I'll say billed, and we can track taxes for this expense, and we can select one of the tax categories what we set up. So for example, if its amount was £5, it will track or record VAT of 83 pence from this £5. I will say that I'm not tracking taxes. I'm not part of VAT registered or tax registered business. Tax I mean for VAT purposes. And I can attach receipt to this expense. Click upload receipt and train ticket, and click open and click save. So below the table it shows recorded expense, and it's also showing that there is a receipt attached and it can be viewed. Let's create a new expense. I had a meal bill. Where was the meals? There is meals and entertainment. Vendor name. You can use vendor names from your receipt, so you can see on the top of receipt what is that company who provided or provided you service. I'm just making my company vendor names, but you can get from your receipts names of companies. Amount. It's the same way. Attach receipt. Save. Okay, so we have recorded for this client expenses. If you have multiple projects, of course you can use filter section. You can firstly look at a date, look at a month or quarter or annual information across all this year, or you can particular select particular client and how much in costs it actually have costed you from managing this relationship. I mean more how much it costed for you to take this project on, and sometimes might be that there is more expenses than you actually realize for particular project. Then you can look at the project side. It's the same about categories, and then statuses. And once you select one of these filters, always apply, otherwise it will not refresh and you might look at the not updated information. So I will add a couple more expenses so I can show how you can invoice and use unbilled expenses and add it to invoices at a later point. Okay, this is how we can add expenses or record expenses for a particular project, for a particular client, and we can mark either they are billed or unbilled, and use this information later in issuing your invoices and also analyzing your clients. So I have agreed with my client, with major project client, bookstore, that I will issue invoice for 50% at the start when I'm starting to work on translating book, and then other 50% will follow up when manuscript will be finished or translated script will be finished. So how we can issue invoices? Either you can issue from left hand side. There is this green big button with plus sign, and by clicking on it we can add an invoice, or when we go to sidebar there is separate category called invoices, and we have a couple of choices to do. We can issue invoice, recurring invoice, we can issue credits on accounts, we can also do an estimate or pro formas and other income. So let's start with an invoice. To create new invoice, click create new invoice. So I have client called bookstore, project, book translation. So there might be multiple projects for this particular clients, and select for which project it relates and it will show an invoice information. Invoice ID, you can still amend to different number if you want. If client quoted purchase order, like a reference number, use it here, otherwise leave blank. If there is any shipping costs, they need to be included here. Any discounts as well. So issue date will be today. Payment due, you can select even upon receipt, 5 days, 30 days, 90 days, or custom date as per you. I will say that I have upon receipt. When they receive this invoice, they need to make a payment. Subject, book translation. So I said that agreed contracted revenue, or revenue is 6,000. So Harpoon is already showing how much it's been agreed for this particular project. So it's just a reminder. Okay, so now items, we can select one of the items we want to charge for. For example, in my case, it will be, I would say, deposit, 50%. start of the project. This means that on invoice, quantity and unit price will not show up. It will just total amount will show up. So if I want to put hours or etc. to see for myself and manage projects, I can do it here. So I will say 1 and 3,000 will be invoiced now. I can select any of the taxes if I'm tax person who is registered for VAT. Okay. When I create an invoice, I can also add additional blank line, and I can add more details if required. For example, if I need to add any fee, or maybe I need to add a product, maybe book cover or etc. what is agreed, then I can add additional line for this invoice. Also, I can add recorded expense. In this case, for this particular project, I haven't got any recorded expenses, what I should charge to this client, so there is nothing at the moment. And I can add a note saying, for example, thank you for your business. Or you can also include your bank details and any other important information what you want to share with this client. Maybe short version of terms and conditions. Once you're happy, click Save as Draft. Okay, this is how your invoice will look like. And this how invoice will look like when it will be sent to client as well. Okay, and once you're happy, click Send. There is other actions. We can add a payment. For example, client already paid us and we issuing invoice. So we can add a payment. Click Add a Payment. And for example, it's partially paid, maybe from 3,000. Client paid 1,500 today. And we can add a payment method, BACS, cash, feed, PayPal feed, or any other means of payment what they're making. And when you will tick here, this will send a notification to client. Okay, so let's save. Okay, we added payment. So what else is there? We can download as PDF, we can preview, we can view history. For example, when client have read this message, invoice message, when we have distributed this email and etc. We can duplicate and we can recurve this invoice, also cancel and delete. So multiple options to choose from. We can also edit invoice and amend details as we need to amend to be in to amend. Oh, what's happening? So if you need to edit or amend invoice, you can do it here, add additional lines or amend amounts, or even maybe description line need to be more clarified. So once we are happy with that one, amendments made, click Save Changes. Okay, so invoice is showing that it's partial. It's because it's been 1,500 paid from 3,000. Yeah. So when we go back to invoices, this is where we can see our invoices issued. It will show in dark green. That means that how many haven't been paid and how much from this amount been paid. So you can see at the top. Okay, let's issue a couple more invoices. Okay, so for John writing blog post, there is another option and it's saying that add recorded hours. So if this project is based on hours and we would charge client per every hour, so we can select hours what's been recorded. So there been on 4th recorded hours, we can select it. There might be multiple lines, then select the ones which apply. And how you would like to display these hours, you can select a separate line items, or you can group and by date and by team member if needed. So I would say that I want as a separate line items, click Add, and it creates a separate line item showing date, task name, and what task it was, like category, and what was task description, and how many hours, and what was the unit price. So let's delete that one. And also let's check if there is recorded expenses, and there is pictures for article. When we select it and click add, it's adding here as well, so we can recharge expenses to our clients if needed. So once you're happy with this one, you can add notes and then save as a draft. Now it's showing as a draft status. You can one more time to check, and then we can send, edit, and etc. Okay. So when we have multiple invoices added, how we can mark those invoices as paid? When you go on settings button here, click on it, and you can add a payment. So when we add a payment here, second half was paid today and was paid by Bax as well, and click save. So now it is being paid, and it will show as a draft because I haven't distributed out to John. But if you want to mark this one as paid, it's the same way. Add a payment, add notes, maybe it's PayPal, and we can add a reference number if needed, and etc. And click save. So now this is being paid as well. This is the way how we can record invoices and mark them as paid. So how we can issue recurring invoices? On sidebar, click on recurring, or if you are on invoices tab, you can click on recurring here. It's the same on credits, estimates, and other income. So let's go to recurring, create recurring invoice, and for example, start date is next Monday, and end date is, let's say, June 26th, and weekly email to client automatically. We'll select a client and select a project, so writing blog posts. Is there discount or shipping? It's up to you. Just fill in details if there applies to you. Payment due upon receipt. So I have agreed with John to do a 1 blog post per week until 26th June. So I would need to charge him. I would say that I have agreed to charge as a fee per each blog post, and there is 1 blog post at a rate of let's say £100, and save template. Okay, so when we are looking now in recurring invoices, it's showing here that there is recurring one. We can edit, duplicate, or delete if it's not active anymore. Then if, for example, we need to issue credit, in this case credit will go onto an account, so it will not reduce already issued invoice amounts. So you will be able to add credit once you will issue an invoice, next invoice to a client, then you will be able to apply credit. So for example, I will create a new credit for a bookstore, and credit amount, let's say 250, and in notes I will say that it's so it's revised price after page count on the book, and click save. So it will show all credits here, and in the same we can look at details, we can add new credit, we can remove credit, and we can apply credit. So when we click apply credit, we need to create a new invoice. So let's create a new invoice for bookstore, select project, and I will say it's a service. Where was my service? Oh, there is service. Part 2 payment. So for example, I need to put price, let's say next £1,000 from 3,000 left on my project. Now I can apply a credit. Okay, save as draft. Okay, let's edit invoice, because where is my, should be showing here. So why didn't get my credits there? Okay, let's go back to credits, apply credit, create new invoice. Say 500. Okay, now it's showing up. So it will show below notes, apply credit as a payment, so it will reduce 500 to 250. So when we click save as a draft, now it's showing partial status, and it will show an invoice that total invoice is 500 and amount paid is 250, so amount due is 250. So this way how we can issue credit notes to particular client and apply that credit once a next new invoice is issued. So how well I actually have done? Let's have a look on Harpoon section called reports. So how this particular week or month, or even if you're looking quarterly reports, look like? So we can go on our sidebar and click on quick links and look on report side, or we can scroll down and look at reports here. So we can look at profit and loss, expenses, timesheets, invoice payments, other income, accounts aging, mileage, tax summary, details, summaries, and etc. So there's lots of reports to look at. Let's start with to look like on couple. The most important is profit and loss. Let's look at profit and loss for me ending on 31st December 2022. So on April my net profit is almost 3k. My revenue was 3.3, and there is all expenses based on all categories. Then when we look on expenses, we can look in more detail. So for example, advertising and marketing is split by which client or project it's related and what is actually expense description. It gives detailed view, easy and nice to analyze. Also you can group if you want by client and apply, of course. Then we can see by client expenses, or if we want to look at project and click apply. Now it will sort out by a project, and project will show up here at the top. We can also, of course, every single report download as CSV or as PDF if needed. Plus look at different time periods where it's needed. So let's go back to reports. Let's look at timesheet, view reports. So the same way we can look at a project, particular project, for example, click apply. So there is tasks for admin, what is the descriptions are noted there, and how many hours been spent on particular admin tasks. And then on translation is time added there, and it covers month, but we can select this week and click apply. So time is changing, and we can see how many hours been spent there as well. Okay, if you don't want to select particular project, just deselect and click apply, and all projects will show up here. Okay, the same, download CSV as PDF and use where you need in for your analysis. Okay, so we can look at accounts aging. Let's look on report. So there is bookstore owned as 250 because their payment was immediate. That is 250 what is after credit note of 200 applied. So let's look there on their account, on bookstore account, on client's account. We can see that there been free 500 cent, collected free 250, and 250 is still outstanding. So yeah, there is all invoices showing up. For example, this invoice is in draft. If you want to delete, we can delete or cancel. I will click delete. Yes, okay. So information is there. Okay, so let's go back to our reports. What else we can look at? If you have tax summary, for example, if you're recording VAT, you'll be able to see tax summaries there. The same about mileage. And let's look at project summary. Let's select project and cash, apply, and we can see how much been collected, how much was costs, profit, and what is our margin for this particular project. Hours spent by task, also hours by team members, so you'll be able to analyze and look how much actually, if you have multiple team members, how much time they spend on this particular project, and plus how much was in expenses and what we have invoiced. So very nice and detailed report for a particular project to look at and review, analyze, and if needed then possible to take some action, maybe if you need to invoice or reduce hours, or maybe also increase hours. Okay, so this is a section of reports. Also you can access your reports from dashboard. So when we go to dashboard, all reports are in more like graph representation. We can move around if you want all these graphs. So we can go firstly on customize dashboard, and we can decide which reports or schemes or graphs we want to see. So I will just sort it out a little bit and I'll keep a couple of them. Okay, once you're happy, click save. And only those which been selected they will show up here. So if you want move up, you can leave this as a quick links, or we can remove this widget if you don't use. So click there, remove, 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 and okay, I cannot remove subscription at the moment. So now if you want, we can sort in our like order how we want it to look like. For example, you can see there is 3 lines, and when you hold on it, you can drag and place in area where you want it to sit when you open your dashboard. For example, I want to see next to each other revenue per month, so I will go up, and I want to see also next to it my expenses per month. Okay, so I can compare how much is in expenses, and when you scroll above you can see 45 being spent, and in revenue 3,290 are received. Then I can look at I would put profit and loss below. So I would look at hours recorded, outstanding invoices, and I want to see here unbilled hours if I need to bill something. And okay, let's look at my top clients. Let's put top clients actually here and outstanding here. My profit and loss there. My average revenue is here. Okay, so you can modify how you want, and dashboard how you want, so you can easily to look at your reports before you go and look in more detailed reports and download in Excel or spreadsheet or as a PDF, so you can have a quick insight there. Okay, so when you, for example, go on those, you can click and it will directly move you into one of those sections where you would get this information from, because from what's happening with me, I'm just like mumbling. So all these graphs will pull information from one of those sections, and you can, by clicking on it, for example, I'm clicking on bookstore, it will automatically to go to clients and will provide this client card for me to look and analyze. Maybe I need to issue invoice, or maybe I have received the money from this client, so I need to record a payment. So you can manage and look on every section and category and graph, and manage every project and overall your business growth. So this covers reports and dashboard of Harpoon software. So guys, if you think that this episode was great and will be a helpful tool to help you to record your time, record expenses and issue invoices, and you actually want to check out yourself Harpoon, then I have left a link to this software in the description section below. If you have any questions or require any advice, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next episode.